Welcome to another episode of the Noona podcast, and today we're doing another solo podcast and about a topic that I don't think is being talked about in the leadership space or in any space really. And I really want to talk today about why pain is never lost. And I think too many of us run away from pain. And I'm speaking from experience here that when we deny ourselves to feel pain, what we're doing is denying ourselves to meet the version of ourselves that can actually hold it. We're denying ourselves to meet the most powerful version of us. And pain can feel like not getting what we want. Pain can feel like not wanting to do something that will keep us from that pain. And I think it is so noble to be able to know that we can hold ourselves through it. And I'm going to talk about 5 things that pain allows us to meet the most powerful version of ourselves when we allow ourselves to feel it. But before that, I want to start by telling you a story and why I really changed how I view pain. I've spoken on other podcasts how I lost my dad last October, and my dad was the love of my life. He was my person. He is really the person, my safety. As long as he was alive, I was safe. And he got prostate cancer, and it ended up turning into bone cancer. And for a long time, I was in complete denial that he was sick. And he would be taking these tablets, even when he started his chemo. Remember the first session that he did chemo, I'd say to him, "Dad, how are you feeling?" And he'd be like, "Amazing." And the way he handled it was with such grace. He didn't want anyone to feel any of his pain. And I remember this one time that he was on the phone to a doctor, and he said to him, "Well, I have terminal cancer," and he was telling him what he had. And I was so shocked. I couldn't believe that he had terminal cancer. I had been in complete and utter denial. And I called my brother, Omar, who is a doctor. And I called my brother and said, "Why is Dad telling this person on the phone that he has terminal cancer?" And my brother said, "Because he does." And I said, "But what do you mean he's got terminal cancer? Like, he's going to be okay, right? Like, that doesn't mean anything." And he said, "Noona, he has terminal cancer. It's quite serious." And in that moment, I realized that I was running away from facing the biggest pain of my life, which was losing my dad. And I went and got help. And I went and got some coaching, I had work to do. I couldn't even accept that he was sick, let alone that he might pass away. I couldn't even utter the words that my dad might die. And I grieved him while he was still alive, and I dealt with the pain. And I always knew that there would be a version of me with my dad alive and a version of me when my dad passed away. And the person that I met after he passed, hand on heart, I can say I'm a different human being because I dealt with the pain. And that pain, facing it on, means that I met a version of myself I didn't even know existed, the most powerful version of myself. Was it easy? No. I completely burnt out emotionally about 4 or 5 months after he passed. And I had to take time off. I did something called the sacred pause. I stopped using my phone. I sat and stared into space. I really tapped into the fact that my safety in life had gone and that I needed to develop that safety for myself. And it's really changed my relationship with pain. And it's made me realize that feeling pain, the pain, it doesn't have to be a loss of a human being. It can be the pain of some words that you have heard and you deny it. It could be the pain of losing a job. It could be the pain of being made redundant. It could be the pain of wanting to change and not knowing how. Whatever it is, the minute we face it is the minute we meet and give ourselves the opportunity to meet a stronger version of ourselves, because I really, really believe that no pain is ever lost. And I'm even talking about the pain of letting someone go on your team, the pain of having a difficult conversation, the pain of being in debt for too long. All of those things, I think we can run away. We're so good at hiding. But actually, when you face it, you will face the strongest version of you. And so I want to talk about the 5 things that I think are important when you're dealing with this, that I learned on my journey. That when you avoid pain, it doesn't delete it, it just sends it underground. And I really believe that when it goes underground, it causes even more pain, because it sits in your body and it ferments, and that's not good for us. We know what stress does to our body now. We know the damage that it can cause us. And so if you are not facing your pain, you're not deleting it. That pain of losing my dad, that wasn't going to go anywhere. But had I not dealt with it head on before he had passed, had I not learnt to grieve and learnt to hear my fears of him not being in this world, that when he did pass, I would have suffered 1,000,000 times more. Yes, I had emotional burnout. It took me 2 or 3 weeks to bring myself back. It would have taken me, I would say, 5 years if I didn't do it while he was still alive. So don't think by avoiding it that you're deleting it, because you're not. And that doesn't mean to say that when you feel pain, you need to just act on it really quickly. What it means is you need to understand, what is that pain telling you? For me, losing my dad, the pain was telling me that I didn't think that I would be safe without him. And so facing that pain on, I have learned to allow myself to create that safety for myself. And that has made me a really strong, powerful human being. There may be a pain of not wanting to look at your unhappiness. And so rather than facing the pain yourself, what you're doing is you're blaming someone else. You're blaming a partner. I'm unhappy because of you. Maybe I'll be happier with someone else. I'm unhappy in this job. Maybe I'll be happier in another job. And I always say to my clients, never ever give up a job while you don't enjoy it. Because the skill that you learn about yourself, when you can stay and you can feel good, the best time to leave anything is when you feel good. Because then you're thinking with clarity, not in blame, not in victimhood. So do not think that pain gets deleted. It just goes underground and just festers. The second thing which I've really learned is that the version of you on the other side of pain, it's a version of you that you really want to become. When you can really see yourself, when you can deal with pain, when you can know that you've got your own back, that person is unstoppable. Because on the other side of that pain lies a person who you've never met before. I'd never met the version of me who creates safety in my own body. I had never met the version of me who grieved the love of her life, grieved someone who was always there to protect her, and my dad was an amazing, amazing father. And I've met her now, and she's strong, and she can hold a lot now, a lot more than I could have before. And so when you're denying yourself to sit with your pain and to go inwards and to ask yourself the powerful questions and to look at what is the things that is causing you pain, you have a whole nother version of you waiting for you. And I'm telling you, that version is 10 times more powerful than you are now. And the third thing is, high achievers are the worst at this. They are the worst at avoiding pain. They think I would even say avoiding pain is their superpower. Because high achievers, and I've mentioned this on other podcasts, are external validation. Their validation comes externally. So that is why losing a job can feel so hard for a high achiever. That's why getting made redundant can feel so painful for a high achiever. That's why criticism can feel painful for a high achiever. And what do? They avoid, they blame, they go into victimhood. And really, the superpower is to look at it. The superpower is to deal with the emotions, to face it head on. And so if you're a high achiever, I would say there's something in your life that you're avoiding because it's too painful. And like I said, sometimes it doesn't even have to be a big pain. The pain can just be internal of like, why am I not enjoying this success? Why am I not enjoying this marriage that seems really great? Why am I not enjoying my kids even though they're healthy? That can be a very painful thing to look at. But rather than looking for more external validation, rather than looking for something else to make you happy because you don't want to look at your pain, when you can sit and look inwards, that is where your superpower lies. That is where you will get all the answers. Is it comfortable? No. That's why it's called pain. It's painful. It's super painful. It's painful to ask yourself questions as, why am I not happy when I should be? That's not easy. But what most people do is they feel like, oh, I'm not happy in this relationship. Maybe I'll be happy with someone else. Maybe I'll be happy in a different house. Maybe if I move countries, I'll be happier. Maybe if I change jobs, I'll be happier. And the answer never ever lies in that. The answer always lies internally. What pain am I avoiding and thinking that something else will give me? If you think, for example, I don't know why I'm talking about relationships, but if you think that being in another relationship will make you happier, make peace with who you are in the current relationship that you are, and then leave with a clear head. But same with the job. If you think it's another job, leave when you have a clear mind and you don't assume that something else will make you happier, because the answer always lies inside, always, and facing your pain. So fourth thing that I'd like to talk about is your nervous system. And I talk about nervous system a lot, but your nervous system will keep recreating your pain until you meet it. If I hadn't faced the pain of losing my father and I hadn't have created that safety because I looked at it and I realized that's what it was, I would have tried to find safety in other things like my relationship or my career. I would have asked for external things to give me that safety. Can anyone else give me safety? No, of course not. And so the more that you try and avoid pain, your body will look for it in the wrong places. Because the pain that you need to look at is internal. It's always internal. And one of the things that I think with pain is when you're avoiding it, you're denying yourself the chance to show you how strong you are. I never knew I was this strong. I really didn't. I had no idea. But now I know because I faced it. When you can, and we'll go back to the analogy of a relationship, when you are thinking of leaving a relationship and you really look inwards and think, why do I think I'll be happier with someone else? And you realize, because I'm not happy in myself. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not able to feel happiness. And so I'm blaming it on my partner, but actually it's me. When you look at the job, maybe I can't handle the pressure. So maybe rather than finding another job, I look at myself. Can my nervous system hold more pressure? Can my nervous system hold more stress? Yeah, I can actually. You deal with that pain. And what I found with people is not only do they start loving their jobs again, they get promoted. They get a pay rise. And so you're denying yourself the opportunity to show you how amazingly strong you are, to show yourself how you can grow. And so running away from pain, not allowing your nervous system to sit with it. Our nervous system, every time I think we're expected to grow, it feels painful. It does feel painful. So now, every time I something feels painful, rather than running away from it, I really throw myself into it. I really look and think, like, what is the most painful thing that I need to look at inside of me? Is it that I feel a bit worthless? Is it that I feel like I'm not deserving? Is it that I'm not able to hold enough happiness in my body? Is it that I have my expectations are too low? Is it that my standards are too low? And when you can really ask yourself those really, really powerful questions, and you can sit and you can look at it, you are opening the door to a whole nother new you, a whole more powerful, stronger, a person who understands themselves better. And so we need pain to grow. Because when you don't have pain, you're just comfortable. And when you're comfortable, what's the next step? And things will feel painful. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be, God, it's really painful that I can't actually enjoy any of this. Why? Look at your nervous system. Look at your emotions. Ask yourself some really hard questions. Get help. And allow yourself to meet that version of you. And the other thing, number 5, I'd like to cover is that sitting with pain, it's not a weakness. It's actually the most advanced human and leadership skill that you can do. It's the most important skill that you can develop. Because when you allow yourself and teach yourself how to deal with pain, you feel unstoppable. And I've had the privilege of knowing that, because I've dealt with the biggest pain that I'll ever deal with, because I looked at it, I healed it, I asked myself very difficult questions. Not to say that I'm not grieving. I miss him every single day. I speak to him every single day. I refuse to believe that I cannot communicate with my father. But I've learned how to create that safety in my own body. And that skill has meant that life can throw anything at me. And let me tell you, it has. It has really thrown stuff at me. And rather than being resentful and getting into why me, this is so unfair, I can just sit with it and say, I'm being asked to grow one more time. I'm being asked to look at something one more time. Because it's too easy to say, you hurt me. You're doing this to me. And the reason why we end up blaming is because we don't want to sit with the pain of looking at ourselves. So when you can learn the skill, the real skill of learning to ask yourself some painful questions, to look at where that pain is coming from, you learn and you're teaching yourself that nobody can look after you better than you can look after yourself. There is no one in your life who can be there for you. There's nobody in my life who can make me feel as safe as I feel in my body now, because I've done the work. And so I'm like, my shoulders are broader. I'm ready to take more on. I'm like, come on, life, throw it at me. And that is such a beautiful way to look at life. And I don't expect everything to be happy. I don't expect everything to be perfect. And that makes me feel strong. And I really hope that if you're going through something painful, that this podcast has helped you to reframe the way that you look at it. Because pain is never lost. I really, truly believe that every failure, everything that goes wrong, it was building you. It's building you to another version of you. I just have this real belief that our pain is never lost. It is always there to teach us something, to help us to grow. And this isn't some woo-woo, like, oh, positive thinking. No, this is go there. There is no amount of positive thinking that was going to get me to deal with the pain of losing my father. This is not about positive thinking. This is about going deep into the pain, feeling it, acknowledging it, and learning what you can do for yourself to strengthen. And it's also to reframe it as in you're being asked to meet a version of you that doesn't exist at the moment. And that version is always a much more stronger version of you. So I really hope that you have taken something from this podcast. If you'd like to email me or message me about something painful that you're going through, please do. I read all of my messages. And thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you on the next podcast.